Hello, this is Group 4's TIBO case study. My name is Dylan Thoreson, and I'm going to be the first one to present. So on the TIBO case overview, John Mitchell, which is the CEO of TIBO, is not happy with the new creation of Weebop, an online banking service managed by the IT outsource team. The outsource team is out of the country and IT personnel is unsure on how to solve the issue. There have been multiple complaints that have been reported about the functionality and security of Weebop. The outsourcing company cannot keep up with the demands and expectations. The CEO has to give the results of the IT audit and is not happy about the current situation. So, a little bit on the TIBO case background. TIBO stands for Trusted Imperial Banking Organization. They handle retail banking, such as things like checking, saving loans, or credit cards. They want to replace more physical branches with online services. They have merged with other businesses, resulting in complex IT services hard to integrate with one another. They have many future projects such as Weebop, which is an online site for banking, a CRM, a customer relationship management that allows for cross-selling support to account managers and other customer support staff members. There's ITNet, which is an expanded IT network and standardized application platforms. There's ForPay, which is a for-region payment service, and Workit, a workflow application and remote connectivity for account managers. With the TIBO case, there are currently three major issues in the management of IT, those three being security, outsourcing, and strategic alignment. So going a little more in depth on the security issue, the current security administrator has been overwhelmed with developing security procedures. He's getting acquainted with the security tools, assigning administrator passwords for the business employees who wanted access to everything, and is generating reports that do not provide information needed and were read by few. The next one is outsourcing. The financial company from Singapore that produces top-end reusable e-banking applications was outsourced. After 6 months of application use, the user base grew, resulting in the response time being unsatisfactory. Customers could access the system, but only during specific times of the day, and occasionally transactions were not being processed or were processed incorrectly. This resulted in the third-party provider being overwhelmed trying to support users with the issues. The last major issue is strategic alignment. Between the IT and business sides of TIBO, IT in the past usually has made their own decisions without asking for input from the business side. But right now the business side is not happy with the IT's department's budget because their budget had been cut. So with the relationship of TIBO to IT, there is IT governance, the IT risk management, IT assurance, and IT controls. IT governance is having multiple levels of entities that would all need to be connected to an IT network to perform their jobs effectively. With IT risk management, they're a bank, so all data needs to be very secure to protect their clients' information. With IT assurance, a routinely audit must be performed to make sure all security measures are working properly. And IT controls. It uses integrated and updated tools where appropriate to allow effective assessment of critical IT controls and rapid detection of IT control monitoring incidents.
Hello, my name is Jacob Barnett, and I will be talking over COBIT with TIBO in the next couple of slides. COBIT, which stands for Control Objectives for Information-Related Technologies, is a framework which helps businesses such as TIBO develop, organize, and implement strategies around information management and governance. TIBO must rely on the COBIT structure in order to mitigate risk during the navigation of their current projects, such as Weebop, Customer Relationship Management, COBAR, ITNet, ForPay, and WorkIT. Without proper guidance through TIBO's projects via COBIT, there presents high probability of risk. So now let's talk about the security issue. TIBO is currently desensitized to outside threats due to not having many issues in the past. There's no dedicated security manager, and employees are lax about security rules and are more reactive than proactive. There needs to be more protective countermeasures and contingencies planned ahead of time before pushing into a primarily online banking system where there can be more unobvious threats than existed before. So let's look at an example of a security issue. In an anonymous call to the CFO, someone claims to have access to customer information leaked from the enterprise systems and substantiates it with a fax containing sensitive information, names, account managers, etc. So let's analyze the security risks and recommend some good practices to better mitigate these. So if this were to happen, the security risk here is that everything is compromised, and if word gets out, then the company's reputation would surely drop dramatically, losing devastating percentage in profits. So to mitigate this, having a dedicated in-house security manager, along with up-to-date practices in software hardware, could help a lot. So let's go deeper into this issue. You are informed that a breach occurred from a third party and are given a copy of the current short and inadequate SLA. The data leaked because the third party used live customer data during acceptance tests of the second phase on an insecure web server installation. So let's define what management should have done and what we think actually happened to allow this data to get in the public domain. There are a few things that we could do to fix the problem afterwards, but most likely the best solution would have been to mitigate any risk that causes this to happen in the first place. Examples would be to be deliberate and have a professional on staff that can write up an SLA relative to the security of third parties and contingencies and legal actions on if they were to leak information. So now speaking about third parties, let's talk about the outsourcing issue. Outsourcing teams can help greatly in cutting costs for the company when it comes to reduction of headcount, operational costs, and resource usage. However, if outsourcing is not chosen carefully, it is not guaranteed that they will live up to the standards the parent company desires. A great way to mitigate leaks of private data with outsourced workers is to give them a test environment in which they can do their work, in which they can build a product around. So in order to fix this outsourcing issue that we have, we need to have detailed outsourcing processes, such as timeline and course of action, availability for customers, payment and critical banking information made easy to find and static, security protocols and policies in place, and if any software error occurs, the company should have a plan B to rely on. Some best practices within this would ensure all processes are approved and communicated throughout all departments, follow an integrated framework like COBIT-5 for greater possibilities of success, revise the outsourcing audits and reports and change the WeBop infrastructure, and keep departments separated but informed on the delegated responsibilities at all times. Now we can identify the roles that audit, IT management, and the CEO should play in outsourcing and compare these best practices to the roles actually played out in TIBO. The roles of an audit should be considered along with the outsourcing company, the moral and ethical differences in employees based on the place that they live, and security policies and human errors. When it comes to IT management, we should always have access to the system in case any mistakes or data breach may exist. Outsourcing a company should be a team decision and not a decision solely from the IT department either. The CEO, on the other hand, should be more involved in decision making, especially when it comes to outsourcing resources. CEO needs to take into consideration all IT management advice and make decisions as a team. An IT expert should have been appointed by the CEO to be over the outsourcing team to keep track of progress.
Hello, my name is Faviola Guzman, and I'll be presenting about the strategic alignment issue, proposed solutions, recommendations, and lessons learned. The strategic alignment issue is in the IT department and the business administration. The IT department does not really consult the business administration about important decisions regarding projects or the banking functionality, the online banking functionality. Also, there is some sort of discomfort from different entity levels about the budget. Business groups feel that the budget assigned to the IT department is way more than it should be, which it makes them feel that the company is being unfair and they are discontent. Analyzing the governance implications of how TIBO handled outsourcing, communication seems to be the issue when it comes to any of the IT projects, outsourcing, and organization within the bank. Decisions made on outsourcing providers should be addressed in any board meeting in order to prevent any issues. Therefore, we came up with these 4 best practices that will strategically align with outsourcing. Vision. The business strategy group and TIBO overall needs to be more present in the vision of the company and the strategic plan, taking in consideration the disruptive method for their banking development, like channel strategies, current trends, and customer relations and retention. Organization. TIBO will have to organize positions and frequency in meetings to align with the strategic plan. Communication. Communication among the business groups and board of directors about outsourcing. Help desk tickets might be a solution to be informed about the issues in the bank. Governance. IT department should be invited along with the project manager to business strategy group meetings. The CEO is probably not aware because customer complaints are usually handled by lower management that follow standard procedures. The frequency in meetings and reports are not sufficient to handle strategic alignment issues. Reports should be clear and detailed every week to the CEO, business strategic group, and board of directors. This can be avoided by at least doubling the amount of meetings held monthly. The business strategy group should be more involved with the IT department and outsourcing hiring. All changes in the IT department by IT management should be formally communicated to the business strategy group. Better training is required on how to follow procedures put in place by upper management. Best practices in increasing IT audits will solve strategic alignment issues. Best practices will ensure better customer service, which will align with the strategic alignment goals. Better alignment between IT and business strategy can be achieved if the CRM is kept confidential and handled only by the appropriate people since it contains critical customer and financial institutions' private information to reduce risk and a privacy breach. Lessons learned are critical to avoid past mistakes. Risk management protocols should be in place for potential risks. Critical customer information will be handled by reliable professionals and scanned for any mistakes. Reports should be made clear and short to ensure that they are read by the appropriate department and employees. Audits need to be performed frequently to ensure everything is going as planned and to avoid any issues that may occur in the future. Some proposed solutions for outsourcing, security, and strategic alignment issues are use reliable solutions in all workstations, establish different policies for different categories of users, track user activity, and manage risk. For customers, it's a must that when performing financial transactions online, that they use a multi-factor authentication technology, keep security solutions updated, train employees in awareness and best practices, add encryption to protocol to protect information against unauthorized alterations. Communication is very important among departments and all employees. Budget should be allocated in an effective fashion and outsourcing with capable and responsible institutions. Recommendations for solutions could be communication between the IT department and business strategy group is a must. Update security policies. Follow the principles of least privilege and separation of duties. A security manager professional should be hired. Security policies and protocols for new and reset passwords. Scope of specific IT projects should be made clear to the management and all employees. Budget should be allocated appropriately. Daily reports and frequent audits train employees on awareness and best practices. This is the justification for the recommendation previously mentioned. Communication between the IT department and business strategy group is very important to improve and keep control of IT projects in TIBO. Implement and update security policies for all employees with clear roles and responsibilities. Follow the principles of least privilege and separation of duties to make sure only authorized personnel have access to critical information, and separate roles between two people to promote data safety. A security manager professional should be hired to prevent and reduce the likelihood of a security breach. This should also give the security administrator the opportunity to focus on an important area while the other security professional helps reduce overworked hours and prevent mistakes. Security managers should implement security policies and protocols for employees with new or reset passwords to prevent data breach. Scope needs to be clear and in detail so every project avoids major mistakes and avoids possible risks. Budget needs to be allocated fairly and properly to reinforce the TIBO infrastructure and disruptive industry practices. Daily reports and more frequent audits should be performed to promote transparency and as much risk-free project as possible. And finally, lessons learned. Communication is very important to make sure all employees are on the same page. Communication is key. Risk management is important to prevent possible risk. Implement security policies and protocol to reduce vulnerabilities of data breach. Prevent employees' behaviors that promote risk like password problems, malware, and phishing issues. Audit and assessment as well as automated monitoring can prevent catastrophic problems. Outsourcing is only recommended when providers are honest and reliable. Therefore, the company needs to do their homework and research outsourcing providers, especially if it is a very sensitive data. Follow best practices for better results. The references used for this project were the IT Governance Using COVID in the Wall IT Student Book, the same book we use for this class, the TIBO case study, and the Guidance on Managing Outsourcing Risk. The acknowledgements go to the team members and the IT Governance COVID books. We hope that you like the content of this project and let us know if you have any questions. Thank you.